Good morning and welcome to Backyard and Beyond. This morning we're visiting with Starline Nunley and we're going to be talking about Doug's. We're going to be talking about dogs, one of your favorite things, Starline, and good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. You have put together an organization called Support Military Working Dogs. What's the major purpose of that organization?
That is to equip the military working dogs that are deployed into Afghanistan, Iraq, Korea, Africa, wherever they happen to be in war zones, and supporting our military handlers and troops.
Yes.
By finding bombs, tripwires, booby traps, IEDs, suicide vests, those types of things.
Mm-hmm. And I think most of us have no idea. First of all, we may not even think about that there are dogs there doing that work, and secondly, all the kinds of things that they can do. How did you get started with this?
Well, my son was deployed to Iraq at the time, and he called and said, "Mom, I need help." And he's an Apache Longbow helicopter fighter pilot, but every day after his missions and stuff, he would go over to the kennels and play with the dogs. It was a stress reliever. Plus, we're a dog family. We have 3 sons and 16 dogs. So
enough dogs to go around for everybody.
Oh, we do. And so he told me what was happening, that they couldn't see very well because their eyes were had infections and stuff from the blowing sand and being cut. Their paws were blistered from the hot sand or cut or both, with shrapnel, and they couldn't walk. The hearing protection that we send in there a lot of times when they're flying in Black Hawk helicopters or they're in an area where they're blowing up the bombs and stuff that the dogs have found, they can't hear for quite a while afterwards. Mm-hmm. Their hearing is about 600 times better than ours, so any types of loud noises and stuff shuts their ears down for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. So there is some special equipment. I love the name of some of these doggles and
right.
mutlocks. Let's talk a little more about that equipment that helps those dogs do their work.
Well, the doggles are actually, goggles, and they have a foam seal around the edge of it and everything that seals right around their eyes so that the sand can't get into them and cut their eyes up. Now, I have a lot of people who tell me, gee, my dog would never wear that kind of, equipment.
Yes.
And that's probably true, but their dogs are not in the same conditions that these dogs are in. They're not in an area where their eyes are being bombarded by the sand or their, paws getting burned by the sand or things like that. Mm-hmm. So
dogs are pretty smart. They know when they're being helped.
Yes, they do. And after they have worn them, just say one time, they won't go out of their chews after that without it.
Wow.
I mean, they'll hand them to the handlers many times, like, hey, you forgot my goggles, So.
Now, what about the mutlocks?
Well, the mutlocks are made, it's an all-weather fabric. The bottom of it is a rough-out leather that is very flexible so that the dog's toes and pads can move when they're walking. It does protect them from being cut and protects them from being blistered from the hot sand. It is a breathable material on the top, and it has a double toe protection. And the knitted part comes up quite high on their leg, and it's held on with Velcro. But they have to be fitted to the dog's paw. So they have to draw, around the dog's paw and everything, and then measure it and send me those measurements.
Mm-hmm. And you have, I assume somebody's making those for you then.
Yes. A company, it's called Mutlux, and it's out of Canada, and these are what the mushers use on the long Iditarod races and such.
Now, there was another piece of equipment, a Furminator?
Yes. That is a grooming tool. The sand fleas and stuff over in those areas and stuff is just absolutely horrible, and many, many, many times these handlers and dogs are sleeping on the same cot. So you're trying to keep this dog as free from sand fleas as possible because it affects the handler also. When they go out on missions, they're typically out there for 45 days with no bath, nothing like that. We send cases of baby wipes over for them to clean up with and stuff because that's all they have.
Okay. Is there any other equipment? Oh, I know, the cooling vest, a very important item.
That's one of our most important items. This cooling vest covers the underside of the dog. It does not go over the back. It is non-toxic as far as I'm almost positive that it's the only one on the market that is non-toxic. They could eat it, they get a good case of diarrhea, but it's not going to kill them. It is made, the cooling agent in there is animal fat and vegetable oil. It freezes up very, very quickly, like it'll start freezing up if it's in the shade at 80 degrees.
Oh.
And it will stay cold for at least 3 hours. I send one over for the soldier also. He puts it underneath his safety vest. And when it quits cooling on him, then he knows it's time to change the packs out on the dog. And I always send 2 sets of cooling packs and such. What it does, it doesn't keep them cold or anything like that. It keeps their core body temperature below 103. If their core body temperature goes over that and they're, out in the sun and all that kind of stuff, they very quickly die because they get heat stroke, and there's just no way to pull them out of it.
Now, you also send toys, and actually that's kind of a working part. I mean, all of us need a little stress relief.
Well, we do, because those dogs will also suffer from PTSD just like humans do. So you have to give them some kind of time off, relax, just be a dog, and play. So we do send Frisbees and not tennis balls, but other types of balls, Kong balls and things like that, for them to play with their handlers with. And it's a stress reliever for the handler also, so it's good.
And let's see, one, and there may be more that I haven't thought about, the collapsible water dish?
Yes, it's a collapsible water bowl it's made out of nylon. You can just squeeze it up in one hand and stuff it in your pocket. These dogs are trying to drink water out of a bottle, and most of it goes on the ground.
Yes.
And right now you just cannot afford to lose a drop of water. So they pour it into these bowls, the dog drinks out what he needs, and then they pour the rest of it back into the bottle.
Okay. Well, we should remind people here we're talking to Starline Nunley, and we are talking about supporting military working dogs. And you really do depend on support from lots of individuals and businesses and groups and organizations. Tell us a little bit how you put the funds together to purchase all of this equipment and send it to where it's needed.
Okay, I will. We forgot one article I want to tell you about. It's Mutt Muffs.
Oh, yes.
And that's when they're flying in Black Hawk helicopters, or if they're just in the areas where they're blowing up the ammunitions and things that they find. So that's the other article.
Okay, to protect their ears and their hearing. That's so important, as you pointed out earlier.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
the donations and stuff come from individuals, people who have heard about us, or I go out on events all the time. On the weekends, I go to VFWs and churches and schools and things like that, and talk, give a program presentation and tell the people what's going on and how badly these dogs need this equipment and such. So people do make donations. Every donation that we get, if we have a name and name and an address, we send thank you cards, because we want them to know how much we appreciate, the help that they're providing. Every penny of this goes to the dogs and the handlers. This is a spare room in my bedroom. My garage is filled with the equipment that we've had, to send out to the handlers and such. Just this past weekend, and the stuff arrived yesterday from UPS and such, I ordered $3,500 worth of equipment, which is harnesses, leashes, and collars, some beds, water bowls, feeding bowls. I have one kennel that has 20 dogs in it, and they had 10 bowls, period. I mean, just plain 10 bowls. So with that 10 bowls, they had to feed the dogs and water the dogs in shifts. Yeah. They have no bedding. They're on a concrete floor in this particular kennel. It's freezing cold over there, and you need to get these big dogs up off of this concrete floor.
Yes.
So what I had to order was beds for them that are elevated off of the floor, and they're 6 to 8 inches off the floor. I've been trying to find the best prices possible, but the best price I could find so far was $70.99 a piece.
That adds up fast.
Yeah, for 20 of them.
Yeah. So how can people find more? What's interesting to me, I know you were going to talk about the website for a minute, but when you look at those pictures and you see the dogs as well as the soldiers, if you're at all fond of dogs, you'll just fall in love with some of them, because the pictures just, yeah.
They're beautiful, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So tell us a little bit about that website and how people can find out more about the organization and what you're doing.
Okay, well, our website is supportmilitaryworkingdogs.org. All of the pictures that you see on there have been taken by the handlers and sent to me by handlers and of their dogs. They have given me permission to put them on the website. If they are in a place where they would ask you not to put them on, they don't go on. We don't give addresses out. We don't give emails out. We try to protect our soldiers as much as possible. We have lost dogs. We've lost some handlers, too, unfortunately. But it's heartbreaking every time we do. It's just really hard. So we do have a memorial page up there. We have pages for companies that send donations to us. They are put on our website. We want to know. We want people to know how other people are, helping us out. I mean, if we didn't have these donations, we couldn't take care of these dogs.
So it's really, really important. And if anybody is at all interested, I just really recommend that they go to the website. If you don't have your own computer, go to the library and find out more about Support Military Working Dogs. And that's the website .org. So we want to thank you very much, Starline Nunley, for visiting with us and letting us know about this organization and the work you're doing.
Well, I wanted to tell you, it's very much appreciated by all of our soldiers and the dogs. And I wanted to tell you that every dog outranks his handler also.
Aha.
As a good protection.
We may need to visit with you again because there's so many stories to follow up also.
Yes, there is. I'd love to tell you some.
Yes, okay. So until next time, folks, just think about how animals are our helpers and friends.